My German Shepherd, Luna, had never growled at me in 7 years. Not once. Not when I accidentally stepped on her tail, not when I forgot her dinner, not even during thunderstorms when she shook with fear. But that Tuesday morning in March, she planted herself in front of my bedroom door, teeth bared, body rigid, blocking my exit like her life depended on keeping me inside. 2 hours later, my boss, Derek, called me, sobbing so hard he could barely form words. "Marcus, everyone who came to work is dead. 23 people. They're all just sitting at their desks." My knees nearly buckled. "What do you mean dead? How?" I asked. His voice dropped to a whisper that still echoes in my head. "They all look like they're asleep, but their eyes are completely white." My name is Marcus Rivera. I'm 32 years old, and I work as a software engineer at a tech startup in Denver. The being that saved my life that day wasn't human. She was my 7-year-old German Shepherd, Luna, and the person who died instead of me was my younger sister, Sophia. Before I tell you how everything unfolded, hit that subscribe button if you want more true stories that make you hold your pets a little closer tonight. And leave a comment telling me where you're watching from, because what happened next made national headlines. For 4 straight years, my mornings had followed the same script. My alarm rang at 5:30 a.m. on the dot. Luna would already be awake, sitting patiently beside the bed, tail sweeping softly against the mattress. Coffee for me, breakfast for her, then a quick loop around the neighborhood before I showered and left for work. Routine was our comfort, and Luna clung to it just as much as I did. That Tuesday was supposed to be the peak of everything I'd worked toward. Our startup was launching an app that had consumed 2 full years of late nights, skipped weekends, and relentless pressure. I owed that job to my sister. Sophia had pulled strings to get me hired when I was unemployed and desperate. She was the office manager, the real backbone of the company, the one who kept everything running while Derek focused on investors and optics. She was 28. 4 years younger than me, yet somehow always the adult in the room. She bought a house at 25 while I still Googled how to do laundry properly. The night before, she'd texted me, "Don't forget tomorrow's meeting, 8 a.m. sharp. Derek's announcing equity packages. This could be life-changing money, Mark." I told her I'd be there and offered to pick her up. She refused, saying she needed to arrive early to prep the conference room, then warned me not to be late. She'd been hyping me up to Derek for months. That was who Sophia was, always covering for me, always pushing me forward. When our dad had his heart attack 3 years earlier, she handled doctors, paperwork, and insurance, while I stood numb in the hallway. When our mom downsized, Sophia coordinated everything while I just showed up to carry boxes. She was the steady one. The morning everything went wrong, I woke at 4 a.m., not to my alarm, but to Luna pawing urgently at my shoulder. The sound she made wasn't her usual "I need to go outside" whine or her breakfast reminder. This was frantic, almost panicked. I asked what was wrong and sat up. She darted to the bedroom door, then back to me, then back again, pacing like she couldn't decide which danger mattered more. I followed her into the living room, checked the windows, the locks. Nothing seemed out of place. When I opened the back door, she refused to cross the threshold. Instead, she grabbed my pajama sleeve gently but insistently and pulled me back inside. I knelt to examine her. She wasn't hurt, no limping, no signs of pain, but her muscles were tight, her breathing shallow, her nose working overtime as she sniffed the air like she was tracking something invisible. When I tried to lie back down, she jumped onto the bed, breaking one of her strictest rules, and wedged herself between me and the door. Every time I shifted, she pressed me back with her head. At 5:30, my alarm finally rang. I assumed whatever had spooked her had passed. I stood to get dressed, and Luna immediately locked me. I tried stepping around her. She mirrored me perfectly, eyes locked on mine. Normally, I would have laughed, but there was terror in her gaze. As I pulled clothes from my closet, she watched every move. The moment I reached for my laptop bag, a deep, raw growl tore from her chest. It wasn't playful or cautious. It was ancient. I told her to move, using the firm tone she'd always obeyed. She didn't. She pressed harder against the door, lips curled back, teeth fully visible. This wasn't the dog who let kids climb on her at the park. This was a protector, and she had made a decision. At 6:45, I checked the time and felt panic set in. Traffic would be bad, the meeting was critical, Sophia would be furious, Derek might lose faith in me. Then my phone rang. Sophia's face filled the screen, smiling in the photo from last Christmas. She didn't waste time with greetings. She demanded to know if I was already on the road. I told her Luna was acting wrong, that she wouldn't let me leave. She brushed it off, irritated, telling me to put the dog away and get to work. Derek had asked about me specifically. This mattered to both of us. I promised I'd figure something out. She gave me 5 minutes and hung up. I stared at Luna, who stared right back, unblinking. That's when it hit me. She wasn't threatening me, she was pleading. Sophia announced she was using her spare key. Luna lunged at the handle and somehow knocked the deadbolt into place just as Sophia turned the key. Sophia accused me of locking her out, hurt flooding her voice. She thought I was choosing my dog over her, over my career, over everything she'd done for me. When she called again, I tried to explain, my voice shaking. I told her Luna had never acted like this, that something was wrong. She sighed, told me I was scared, that I was hiding. She wasn't, but I understood why she believed it. I had hidden before. When our dad had his heart attack, I claimed hospitals triggered childhood trauma that never existed. When our grandmother died, I skipped the funeral, blaming a work emergency that Sophia knew was fake. She'd covered for me both times, made excuses to the family, protected me from judgment. But this was different. This was real. "Look through your peephole," Sophia said, her voice softer now. "I'm standing right here. Do I look dangerous to you? It's just me, your annoying little sister who's trying to help you succeed for once in your life." I looked through the peephole. There she was, still in her professional blazer, her dark hair pulled back in the same ponytail she'd worn since high school. She held up her phone and gave a small wave, attempting a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Luna sensed me moving toward the door and positioned herself between me and the handle again. When I reached for it anyway, she did something that broke my heart. She sat down, placed both paws on my chest, and pushed me backward. Then she looked into my eyes and whined, a soft, pleading sound. Her tail wasn't wagging, her ears were flat against her head. Every inch of her body language screamed danger, but not from her, from something else, something outside. "You know what? Fine," Sophia's voice cracked through the door. "I've spent 2 years making sure you didn't fail at this job. I've covered for every mistake, every missed deadline, every time you froze up in a presentation. And this is how you repay me? By bailing on the one day I asked you to show up?" I heard her footsteps moving away, each one feeling like a nail in the coffin of our relationship. "When Derek fires you, don't call me. When you can't make rent, don't call me. I'm done being your safety net, Marcus." The car door slammed. The engine started with that familiar rattle. As her car pulled away, Luna finally relaxed slightly, though she maintained her position at the door. She looked up at me with those brown eyes, and I swear I saw relief mixed with the fear. But the guilt was already eating at me. What had I just done? I stood there for a full minute after Sophia's car disappeared, my hands still on the doorknob, torn between chasing after her and trusting the instinct that had kept me frozen in place. Luna had moved away from the door but stayed close, her eyes tracking my every movement. The way she looked at me wasn't aggressive anymore. It was almost grateful, like I'd passed some kind of test. That's when I made the decision that would haunt me forever and save me at the same time. I chose to trust my dog. I pulled out my phone and called Derek's direct line, expecting him to answer with his usual aggressive energy. The man never missed a call, especially on launch days. He once answered his phone during his own wedding ceremony, which his wife still brought up at every company party. But the phone rang once, twice, 3 times, then went to voicemail. "Hey Derek, it's Marcus. I'm having a medical emergency and can't make it to the office. I know the timing is terrible, but I'll dial into the meeting remotely and have my portion of the presentation ready to screen share. I'm really sorry about this." The lie felt bitter on my tongue, but what else could I say? My dog won't let me leave? I'd already burned that bridge with Sophia. I opened my laptop and logged into our company Slack, expecting to see the usual morning chaos of messages, everyone hyping each other up for the launch. But the general channel was quiet. The last message was from Sophia at 7:45 a.m. "Conference room is set up. See everyone in 15 minutes for the meeting that changes our lives." No responses, no reactions, nothing. I checked our project channels, our random channel where people shared memes, even the direct messages. Everything went silent after 8 a.m. My stomach started to churn with something beyond anxiety. This wasn't normal. Even if everyone was in a meeting, someone would be on their phone. Our junior developer, Tommy, literally live tweeted his entire life. Our designer, Rachel, never went 5 minutes without posting something on the company Instagram, but all their social media had gone dark at the same time. Luna padded over to where I sat at my desk and rested her head on my lap. Her body was still tense, but she seemed calmer now that I was away from the door. I absently scratched behind her ears while I pulled up our building's security portal. As a senior engineer, I had access to the camera feeds for debugging our door sensor integration. I'd never used it for actual surveillance before, but something made me log in and navigate to the live feeds. The parking lot camera showed all the familiar cars, including Sophia's Honda, parked in her usual spot near the entrance. Derek's Tesla was in the CEO spot. Everyone had arrived, but the front door camera, which should have shown our receptionist, Jake, at his desk, showed an empty lobby. Jake never left his desk. The guy had a bladder of steel and once bragged about going 6 hours without a bathroom break. I clicked through more cameras. The kitchen was empty. The ping pong table in the break room sat unused. The open office floor, where 23 people should have been buzzing with nervous energy, was completely still. My hands were shaking now as I grabbed my phone to text Sophia. "Hey, is everything okay there? The office looks empty on the cameras." The message showed delivered but not read. I tried Tommy, Rachel, Jake, all delivered, none read. These people lived on their phones. Tommy once responded to a text while he was in the shower. The silence was impossible unless something was very, very wrong. I stood up to pace, and Luna immediately positioned herself between me and the door again. "It's okay, girl," though I wasn't sure if I was reassuring her or myself. "I'm not going anywhere." She relaxed slightly but kept watching me. That's when I noticed something else. That sweet metallic smell from last night was stronger now, seeping through the ventilation. Luna noticed it too, her nose twitching as she sniffed the air with increasing agitation. At 9:47 a.m., my phone exploded with incoming calls, all from Derek. 5 calls in rapid succession before I could even swipe to answer. When I finally picked up on the 6th call, the sound that came through the speaker wasn't Derek's usual confident voice. It was a broken, terrified sob that made every hair on my arm stand up. "Marcus, don't come here. Whatever you do, do not come here." Derek's voice was raw, broken in a way that made him sound like a completely different person. I could hear sirens in the background, lots of them, and someone shouting orders. "Derek, what's happening? Where's Sophia? Is she okay?" My voice cracked on my sister's name, and Luna pressed closer to my leg, whining softly. "They're all dead, Marcus. Every single person who came to the meeting. 23 people. Oh God, I can't. He broke into sobs again, and I heard someone in the background telling him to sit down, that he needed oxygen. "What do you mean dead? That's impossible. How can 23 people just die?" My legs gave out and I sank onto my couch. The phone pressed so hard against my ear it hurt. Derek took several shaky breaths before continuing. I was late. My Tesla had a software update that wouldn't let me drive until it finished. Thought I missed the equity announcement. But when I got here at 9:30, the parking lot was full, but the office was silent. I walked in and Jake was at his desk, but something was wrong. He was just sitting there, eyes open but completely white, foam around his mouth. I could hear Derek moving, probably pacing like he did when he was stressed. I ran to the conference room where the meeting was. They were all there, Marcus, all of them, seated around the table like they'd fallen asleep during the presentation, but their eyes, God, their eyes were all white, and their skin had this blue tint. The facilities manager says it was carbon monoxide, the new heating system we installed last week, the one that was supposed to be more efficient. The contractor installed a valve backward. Instead of venting exhaust outside, it was pumping it directly into our ventilation system. My mind couldn't process what he was saying. Carbon monoxide, the silent killer. No smell, no color, no warning. Except there had been a warning. That sweet metallic smell Luna and I detected wasn't the gas itself, but probably some other chemical reaction or malfunction indicator. Luna had smelled death coming and refused to let me walk into it. The system kicked on at 7:45 a.m., Derek continued, his voice hollow now, right before the meeting. The conference room is the most sealed space in the office, designed for soundproofing. It became a gas chamber. They probably felt sleepy at first, maybe some headaches. By the time anyone realized something was wrong, they couldn't move. The paramedics said they were all dead within 20 minutes. Derek, where's Sophia? You haven't mentioned Sophia. The silence on the other end lasted long enough that I thought the call had dropped. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. Marcus, she wasn't in the conference room. She was at your desk. My heart stopped. What do you mean she was at my desk? Derek cleared his throat and I could hear papers rustling. The security footage shows her leaving the conference room at 8:10, right after the meeting started. She went to your desk with your laptop. She was trying to log you into the meeting remotely, make it look like you were there. She knew your passwords, had your computer. She was trying to save your job, even though you didn't show up. The room spun around me. Sophia had died in my chair, at my desk, trying to protect me from the consequences of not showing up. She'd left a room full of people to maintain my lie, and that choice had placed her in a different part of the office, where the concentration of gas was just as lethal, but where she died alone, probably confused and scared, still trying to type on my keyboard as her vision went white. The paramedics found her slumped over your desk, Derek said. Your laptop was still open to the video conference link. She'd managed to log in as you. Your camera was on. If anyone had been alive in that conference room to see the screen, they would have seen her dying in your place. I dropped the phone. I could hear Derek still talking, saying something about investigators and lawyers and insurance, but all I could think about was Sophia's last words to me. I'm done being your safety net. She'd been angry, hurt, disappointed. She'd driven away thinking I was a coward who chose a dog over family, and then she'd still tried to save me, even furious. Even feeling betrayed, she'd still been my protective little sister. Luna nudged the phone toward me with her nose, and I picked it up with numb fingers. Derek was saying they needed me to identify her body, that our parents were being notified, that the office would be closed indefinitely, but all I could focus on was Luna, sitting quietly beside me, the dog who had saved my life and cost me everything else in the process. 2 months later, I stood at Sophia's grave with Luna beside me, placing fresh sunflowers on the black granite stone. Sunflowers had been her favorite, which seemed wrong somehow. Someone that practical shouldn't have loved something so bright and optimistic, but she did. She'd kept one in a vase on her desk, replacing it every week without fail. The investigators' report had been released that morning, confirming what we already knew. The heating contractor had installed a critical valve backward during rushed work to meet our office's launch deadline. No carbon monoxide detectors had been installed in the conference room because the building was old and grandfathered in under previous safety codes. 23 people died because of a combination of negligence, outdated regulations, and terrible timing. Luna sat perfectly still beside me, her head resting against the gravestone like she did every time we visited. She'd whine softly just once, then fall silent. The grief counselor said dogs understand death in their own way, and I believed it. Luna had saved me, but she couldn't save everyone. The weight of that knowledge seemed to sit on her shoulders just as heavily as it sat on mine. The lawsuit settlements had made me wealthy in the worst possible way. Money from my sister's death, from my coworkers' deaths, from a tragedy that should never have happened. I tried to refuse it at first, but my parents convinced me to take it and do something meaningful with it. That's how the Sofia Rivera Foundation was born. We provided free carbon monoxide detectors and air quality monitoring systems to startups and small businesses that couldn't afford proper safety equipment. In just 8 weeks, we'd already installed systems in 47 offices across Colorado. 3 of them had existing gas leaks that nobody knew about. Luna came with me to every installation, and I'd started training her officially as a detection dog. Turns out, German Shepherds have incredible noses, capable of detecting chemical changes that humans would never notice. She'd already alerted to 2 other potential dangers beyond gas leaks, including an electrical fire hazard that could have killed dozens. The hardest part was finding the letter Sofia had left in her desk. The investigators gave it to me along with her other personal effects. It was dated a week before she died, still in an unsealed envelope addressed to me. "Mark," it read. "I'm writing this because I'm too angry to say it to your face right now. You missed Dad's birthday dinner again. Mom cried. But here's the thing. I'll always cover for you because that's what family does. You're brilliant, but scared of your own shadow sometimes. Stop letting fear control you. Trust your instincts more. And for God's sake, trust Luna. That dog knows you better than you know yourself. She'd die for you. Make sure you live a life worthy of that devotion. Love your annoying little sister who will always be your safety net, even when you don't deserve it. P.S. I'm making you the beneficiary of my life insurance. Don't argue. If something happens to me, use it to help people. That's an order." She'd known, not about the carbon monoxide specifically, but she'd known life was fragile and unpredictable. She'd prepared for the worst while always hoping for the best. That was Sofia, practical even in her love. I folded the letter carefully and placed it back in my wallet, where I kept it always. Luna stood up, shaking off the cemetery dirt, and looked at me expectantly. We had 3 more installations scheduled that afternoon: a pediatric clinic, a family restaurant, and a dog grooming salon. Small businesses that could never afford proper safety systems on their own. Before we left, I knelt down and pressed my hand at Sofia's gravestone. "We saved 17 people last week," I whispered. "A leak at a daycare center. Luna caught it during a routine check. 17 kids who went home to their families because she was there, because you made sure I listened to her. I'm trying to make it count, Soph. All of it." Luna barked once, sharp and clear in the quiet cemetery. It wasn't a warning bark this time. It sounded almost like agreement, like she was telling Sofia we were doing our best. As we walked back to my car, I thought about all the people who told me everything happens for a reason. They were wrong. There was no reason good enough for 23 people to die at their desks, but maybe, just maybe, we could create meaning from meaningless loss. Luna jumped into the passenger seat, the same spot Sophia used to occupy on our morning commutes. Different companion, same mission, to protect others. My phone buzzed with a text from a local news station wanting to do a follow-up story on the foundation. I declined. Sophia wouldn't have wanted the attention. She'd just want the work done. If you found this story meaningful, please subscribe to hear more real experiences that might just save a life. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because carbon monoxide poisoning kills people everywhere, not just in Colorado. Stay safe and always trust your pets when they're trying to tell you